Good morning. We're going to begin with some singing today. Our gathering song is This Little Light of Mine. So this is, of course, a children's hymn, but it also has this deep history as a song from the civil rights movement and as a protest song. And so we will honor both of those intents to it as we sing it today. We have some piano today. We have Callie Alders on the piano. Do you want to give me the key? All right, okay. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, oh, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Carmen Contreras, and I am a member of the Board of Directors here at First U. My pronouns are she and her. I want to invite us to acknowledge the land where we are gathered, the indigenous peoples who first inhabited this land, and all the creatures who form part of this prodigious ecosystem. Let's endeavor to learn from them and from each other. Now for today's announcements, following this morning's service, we will be holding First U's annual general meeting. Please plan to attend and to participate. If you are unable to attend and you are looking for someone to vote on your behalf, there are proxy forms available at the back of the hall that you can fill up after the service. Now an announcement from the Environmental Action Group. Do you remember the spring free from plastics a few years back? Well, it's time to get ready for the new challenge. To the list of the 5 R's of waste management: rethink, refuse, reduce, reuse and recycle, the EAG is adding a 6th R for replace. And this challenge starts on May 3rd. All you need to know about it, you can find in the insert in today's order of service. Next, we have an announcement from the Unitarian Go-Go's, who are preparing for the annual plant sale on Mother's Day weekend from May 8th to 10th. They are asking for donations of perennial plants from your garden, baking of squares or other goodies, gently used jewelry, and medium-sized plant pots. Plants can be delivered to First U by 2 p.m. next Thursday, May 7. Actually, no, I'm sorry, that would be the week after next. The plants can be delivered by 2 p.m. on Thursday, May 7, or to 547 Redwood Avenue, anytime now up to May 5th. Baking and jewelry can be brought directly to the sale on Friday, May 8 in the morning, and pots can be dropped off on the north side of the church. They also need volunteers at 547 Redwood Avenue to spend a few hours potting the plants that have been donated, getting our hands in the dirt. Potting will take place up to May 5th. Please contact Joan Turner at joan@joejoan.ca if you are able to help. We look forward to seeing you at the sale. All proceeds will go to the Grandmothers campaign of the Stephen Lewis Foundation. Thank you. Now, I would like to invite David Chernushenko to come forward and share news about the upcoming Time and Talent auction.
Thank you, Carmen, and good morning, everyone. It is a good morning, it's a glorious day, and it's the AGM, but more than anything, at noon today, the Time and Talent auction goes live. And if there's blank faces out there, what that means is you are able to start bidding and keep bidding up until Thursday evening, the 30th, when the auction will close at 9 o'clock. Now, I know, because I'm an administrator and I can look at things from behind the scenes no one else can see, that only about half as many people have signed up as participants this year. We have as many auction items to bid on, but far fewer people have already created an account, and without an account, you can't bid. And I know that the auction is actually, the congregation and the number of people coming has grown in the last year, so something is a little funny. And I think the something is either, I think I'll do that tomorrow, yeah, I'll get to that soon, or maybe I'm new and I don't know what this auction is or how to create an account. Well, we can fix that. Jonathan and I, is Jonathan here today? No, there we go, thank you. Hadn't seen him yet. We will be available in the back room just over there after we grab a quick coffee maybe, to help you through the process of creating an account and show you how to bid. And who knows, if it's afternoon, we might even help you place that first bid. So as they say, bid early, bid often, and in this case, bid late, bid right up to the end. There's a good reason to bid early. There are a number of items which are buy now. If you are prepared to pay the actual value of the item, you can buy it right on the spot. We don't do that with all of them because we want to have some excitement, but there are a few for various reasons where we've done that. So don't wait, not just to create an account, but to start bidding. There's good reasons. There's all sorts of things. What is the Time and Talent auction? For those who really are new, it's where members of our congregation, participants, our larger family, have donated a particular item. It might be a work of art. It might be, I'm going to bake cookies for you. Yes, that's very popular. It might be a dinner. It might be tickets to something, a service that people do for you, some gardening, a few hours of gardening, some tours. So those are the kinds of things you'll see in the Time and Talent auction. A particular challenge to children. Say to mom and dad or grandparents, hey, let's go look on there and see what's good for kids. And then when you see things you like, say, hey, mom and dad and grandparents, you should really bid on that because I want it. I don't usually do this with children, but I'm prepared to do it for this exception. Did I mention cookies? All right. So thank you very much. We look forward to a lively few days of bidding and get started soon. And now I'd like to call on Chuck and Laura to come up.
I'm Laura Evans. I'm the chair of the board of directors at the Unitarian Fellowship in the East End. Please come and visit us when you can. We are pleased today to present a check for your building fund. It's towards your, it's a loan, part of your affordable housing building, which we look forward to seeing rising up on your property. So today I present Chuck with a check for $100,000.
we, on behalf of the congregation, really do appreciate what the fellowship has done to reach out and help us with this important project. The funds, as you'll know, this is part of that, what we have now gathered of over $1 million that's going to help us build our equity share. And we helped with the creation of the fellowship 3 decades ago. And coincidentally, Fred Cappuccino was the founding minister at that time and is here with us today as well. And they have seen fit to help us out at a point when we need some assistance. So we really do appreciate it. And we're going to do a little photo op, and we're going to get Reverend Laura and Reverend Fred involved in the photo.
Good morning. There is so much to celebrate here today. And a lot of what to celebrate is you, all of you here in this space together. I'm the Reverend Lara Cowton. My pronouns are she and her. And I'm just so happy to be here with you today and to have all of you here. I'm joined on the chancel this morning by our worship associate, Lori Foster McLeod, and our music director, Jen Burnson. And as you can see, there are some luminaries and notaries in our house this morning, guests from the UU Fellowship, and also special guests who I will introduce in a moment. But first I want to say to you, to all of you here, and those of you joining us online, if this is your very first time at the First Unitarian Congregation of Ottawa, or if you have been here for decades, or if you're just finding your way back, after having taken a break, you are welcome here. Whoever you are, of any heritage or faith, of any culture or race, of any gender or orientation, in any body, however you express yourself and your love in the world, know that in this sanctuary, this morning, your gifts and your wounds, your laughter and your tears are welcome here. May this community be a place that helps you to find and keep your balance in the world and to live lives of integrity, service, and joy. I'd like to extend a very special welcome today to our guest who will be leading our children's story and also the sermon. We'll get to the stones in a minute. Yeah, I know, not candy. So the Reverend Fred Cappuccino, who is well known to this congregation for his support of Mr. Mia's refugee claim years and years ago, and Mia's restaurant that's down the street, and they bring our food on Sundays, is because of Fred and Bonnie Cappuccino. Fred and Bonnie Cappuccino were appointed as members of the Order of Canada for outstanding humanitarian work, and they have dedicated their lives to supporting children and women in developing countries through their organization, Child Haven International. And they've also raised a very large and diverse family, 21 children, 19 of them adopted from 11 different countries. Fred has endless stories to tell, as you can imagine, from his 100 years of moving purposefully in this world. Yes. Today, he will share a couple of those stories.
about his experience during the United States Civil Rights Movement in 1965. And with that, because our time is going to be really short, we've got so much to do and we've already done so much, I would like to invite you as we get started to rise in body or in spirit and sing the hymn that Fred requested, The Blessed Firmament. It's number 283 in your gray hymnal. We're singing 2 verses, and Jen can explain to Fred why it's only 2, because he asked. The spacious firmament on high, with all the blue ethereal sky, and spangled heavens are shining frame, their great original proclaim. The unwearied sun from day to day does its creator's wonder display, and publishes to every land the work of an almighty hand. Soon as the evening shades prevail, the moon takes up the wondrous tale, and nightly review the listening earth repeats the story of its birth, whilst all the stars that round it burn, and all planets in their turn confirm the tidings as they roll, and spread the truth from pole to pole.
Good morning. Our centering words today are by Libby D. Stoddard. We have come into this room of hope, where our hearts and minds are open to the future. We have come into this room of justice, where we set aside our fear to name freely every oppression. We have come into this room of love, where we know that no lives are insignificant. We have come into this room of song, where we unite our voices in the somber and the beautiful melodies of life. Now, I have a helper to help me with the chalice. Can Kip come up? Where did? Here he is. Well, that's one way of doing it. Yes. We light our chalice as a symbol of our faith, the light of truth and warmth of love.
story about This is a story about a 3-year-old girl who is sitting here with gray hair. My wife is in that red coat there, that really gorgeous female, and next to her is our daughter. Her name is Shika, which is a Hindu word that means light, and she was 3 years old one time, and she got in at bedtime, she used to hop up in my lap, and she would say, "Daddy, smell my feet." I put hand cream on them, and they smell very sweet. And I would say, "You're not kidding me again, are you?" "No, Daddy, I put hand cream on them, and they smell very sweet." And so she was on my lap, and I would take one foot, and I would go, and I'd take a whiff, and I'd say, "Oh, Suey, what an awful smell." And then she'd say, "No, Daddy, it's the other foot. I put hand cream on it, and it smells sweet." I said, "You're not joking again, are you?" "No, Daddy, it smells very sweet." So I'd take her other foot, and I would take a whiff, and then I would say, "Oh, Tui, what an awful smell." Actually, they didn't smell awful, but I used to say that. And you know what? That happened every bedtime, over and over and over, until she got tired of it. I never got tired of it. So that's that story. What's next here?
Now we're going to sing the children out.
Oh. No.
Will our ushers please come forward? Thank you. The offerings collected each Sunday help us to live into our values within this congregation and in supporting many good works beyond our walls. This month, our Sunday collections, unless marked towards your pledge, will be split with our community partner, Ajashki. Ajashki is a land-based program hosted by First Unitarian Congregation of Ottawa in collaboration with Indigenous communities in the city and region. Rooted in the recognition that the First Unitarian campus is on unceded Algonquin Anishinaabeg land, the program seeks to build relationships, practice skills, and cultural understandings through collaborative gardening, land relations, and environmental stewardship. If you have a smartphone handy, you can use the QR code on the screen or the back of the order of service to make an online donation. Please give as generously as you are able. I offer this affirmation of gratitude for the gifts shared today. Let us be grateful when we are able to give, for many do not have that privilege. Let us be grateful for all those who share their gifts, for we are enriched by their giving. And let us be grateful even for our needs, so that we may be held in the generosity of others. May the work of our hands and the generosity of our hearts be given in gratitude this day.
Each time that we gather for worship, we set aside a moment to expand the caring ministry of this congregation, recognizing that we all minister to one another in the ways that we care, in the ways that we share, and the ways that we show up for one another. We gather here together trusting that this community is wide enough and deep enough to hold us in all of our sorrows and joys, our celebrations, and our concerns. Let us prepare our hearts for this time of sharing with the sounding of our bowl. Today, from our larger world community, let us share a stone of gratitude and celebration for this beautiful day that we've been given. And a stone of care and concern for those around the world who are living in fear and uncertainty. We share our prayers for peace. From among our community today, the Refugee Support Action Group has asked to share this joy with you. Magdalawit Getu, one of the refugees that we are sponsoring, will be arriving in Canada on May 13th. Magdalawit is originally from Ethiopia, and First You sponsored her brother Brooke some time ago, and this application has been underway for a while. It was originally started by Bob Stephenson, who many of you may remember, and who was very active in First You's social justice activities. Work on the application was continued by Lisa and Allison and others in his memory. We look forward to welcoming Magdalawit and send our care for this final leg of her long journey. I now invite you to come forward as you feel so moved to share in our healing waters the stones that you're carrying in your hearts, of milestones in your life, of concerns, of joys and celebrations. Please come forward as you feel so moved. A stone for those of you online, all that you're carrying and sharing from a distance, that we may all hold this together. And a final stone for all of those joys and sorrows and celebrations and concerns that remain in the silent sanctuary of our hearts, not ready to be said aloud. Thank you. To invite us into our time of shared silence for reflection, Reverend Fred Cappuccino has offered these words. The span of life passes, and the time of our years is all too brief. Let us therefore make room in our fellowship for those who have need of our love. Make room for the uprooted one who has rejected the past but cannot find a future. Make room for the withdrawn who alone know their woes and have not yet found the courage to share them. Let them sense that ours is not a judging fellowship, and that each of us at some time or another is agonized by conduct we regret, and that we, too, have need of forgiveness. Make room for the proud, who knows all the answers except the important ones. Make room for the sophisticate, who knows how to act except in crisis. Make room for the maker of waves, who disturbs the status quo but can always improve upon it. All these are the fabric of which human progress is fashioned, and all these have need of our fellowship. There is so much in modern life hostile to human nature. Let us, therefore, deal gently with each other, and let us make room in our fellowship. For the span of life passes, and the time of our years is all too brief.
Today's anthem will be sung by members of all of our choirs here at First U. It's "The Storm is Passing Over," written by Charles Albert Tindley, a prodigious composer, and was often referred to as the grandfather of black gospel music. Some of his other very well-known work is "Stand By Me," and also "I'll Overcome Someday," which is the basis of the protest and civil rights anthem, which became "We Shall Overcome," which is in our hymnal. This song really speaks to the hope that the havoc and chaos and the storms of our life are passing over and soon to be better.
Yeah, I can always come and sit down.
Good.
Thank you. That was my son Shan. He's a realtor in Ottawa. Anybody wants to sell a house? So many memories I have of this place. One day, when the trees were all down low, 1,000 Canadian geese flew by. I didn't see them, really, but I saw 200 open mouths here. And for quite a while, I was in sanctuary here, and I didn't leave the building for about 4 months. The movie Selma is a good film about Martin Luther King Jr. and Coretta Scott King and their relationship with the Selma event. The movie is worth seeing, but it missed entirely the details of the 5-day standoff between the protesters and the police, which profoundly changed the history of the United States. My buddy Ken Marshall and I were in Selma for the entire period, 5 days. Ye have heard that it hath been said, Thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thine enemy. But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you. This is from Jesus' Sermon on the Mount, King James Version. When the young Mahatma Gandhi read those words of Jesus, he was moved to tears. What Jesus demonstrated on an individual basis, that love can change people, Mahatma Gandhi demonstrated on a mass base. This concept of nonviolent love of Jesus and Gandhi formed the basis of Martin Luther King's movement for social justice. Although the U.S. Constitution had been amended after the Civil War to grant Negroes the right to vote, very few could actually vote. Various stratagems were used: poll taxes, literacy tests, secret voter registration days. In 1965, Dr. King suggested that it was time to secure the right to vote for everyone. The place chosen was Selma, Alabama. Black citizens assembled in front of one of their churches. They proceeded across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, heading for the courthouse to register. The police, waiting on the bridge, beat back the marchers with nightsticks and tear gas, which was especially hard on the children since tear gas tends to stay at ground level. This day became known as Black Sunday. The world watched on TV while the police beat people, while they placed gas bombs near a person who had fallen injured and held back ambulances for 10 minutes or longer. James Reeb was among those who immediately went to Selma to help. He had been one of our Washington area ministers, as I was. I was a minister in Maryland at the time. He was one who, when he entered a room, everything brightened up. You all know that kind of person. He had a trace of mischief about him and a deep sense of humor that endeared him to us all. On March 9th, 1965, as Jim Reeb was leaving a Selma restaurant with two other ministers, some angry whites followed them, and from behind, they hit Jim with a 2x4 on the side of the head. It penetrated his skull. Reverend Ken Marshall and I heard that Jim had been badly wounded, and we took the first flight available to Montgomery. When we reached Montgomery, the state police cars were all parked around the area, and they were bumper to bumper. To get inside that where the action was, you had to actually climb on a bumper of a police car. I'd never done that before. Those who went to Selma did not go feeling that we had no problems in our own backyard. Racism was a national problem, and one reason for going was that until this time, many people in the South felt that civil rights was an issue stirred up by communists, and they were able to make that label stick. But when hundreds of ministers of all different faiths go down, including the Greek Orthodox patriarch of North and South America in his robes and his golden staff, it's a little difficult to say they're all communists. A key figure was Selma Police Chief Wilson Baker. After Black Sunday, he resigned as police chief in protest against the carnage. But the city fathers refused to accept his resignation, and they agreed to let him be in sole charge of dealing with the demonstrators. He was a segregationist and would not allow the demonstrators to march, but he also believed in obeying the law. The goal of the demonstrators was to march to the courthouse and have a prayer service for Jim Reeb, and later, after he died, to have a memorial service for him. We would assemble 5 abreast in front of the Baptist church. Then we'd walk forward to the line of police and ask to be allowed through. Chief Baker would refuse, so we waited through the day with a thin line of police straddling the road, facing several hundred marchers who were standing 20 feet back. In the middle ground, there was a soapbox, and on which stood a civil rights leader, usually a black fellow, addressing the demonstrators, joking, and leading songs. Both groups stood there through the night, at times changing personnel so some could sleep and others maintained the vigil. This nonviolent confrontation lasted for 5 days and nights. Civil rights leaders exhorted the demonstrators with pep talks. New songs were composed and new stanzas to old songs. Sometimes there were very few police. Some newspapers reported pushing on the part of the demonstrators. This was not true. I was there that whole time. The police were standing in a line for long hours. At one point, Chief Baker got out of his patrol car, tied one end of a clothesline to a telegraph hydro pole, and came over the other side and tied it to a tree. We all wondered what he was up to. The rope was to take the place of his tired policeman. Immediately a song was composed. We have a rope that's the Berlin Wall, the Berlin Wall, the Berlin Wall. We have a rope that's the Berlin Wall in Selma, Alabama. And in an instant, somebody else made a second stanza. Hate is the thing that built this wall, built this wall. And another stanza was, love is the thing gonna make it fall, make it fall. And another one was, we're gonna stand here till it fall, till it fall, till it fall. Earlier during the orientation for the newly arrived ministers, an associate of Dr. King, the Reverend P.T. Vivian, explained that if they arrest us all, we'll go willingly. But if they try to take one, we will lock arms, not only with the first line, but racing behind, so they'll have to drag a whole bunch to the paddy wagon. At one point, Chief Baker actually did place C.T. Vivian and Ken Marshall under arrest, and the whole crowd began to lock arms, and he had to think about that. He finally laughed and he said, well, all right. He didn't arrest them when he saw how they had locked arms. If we went to jail, we would be served something called chopped greens, which is another expression for grass. We wore 2 pairs of underwear. If we were going to be in jail for a while, we would have 1 pair to wash and 1 to wear. There were 3 groups of police. Governor Wallace's state troopers were the most numerous and the prettiest. They had beautiful blue uniforms and helmets. Sheriff Clark had a ragtag posse of green helmets, orange helmets, yellow, white, silver, and beige helmets, some sporting a Confederate flag. Chief Baker's white helmeted men were the smallest group, and they were in charge. On the second night it rained. One of the black leaders said about Chief Baker, he think it's great this rain, and he think we'll go inside. He don't understand us. I need a bath anyhow. Someone provided a huge plastic sheet that would cover the width of the roadway and perhaps 100 feet back. We just unrolled it and poked a few umbrellas through, and we were set for the night. After a while, Chief Baker told us, you're breaking the law. What are we doing? You have to roll back to plastic. Well, what law are we breaking? Well, there is a city law that says to put up a building, you have to have a permit. Everybody laughed, and the ministers rolled up the front portion back and stood in the rain, but the young black kids, they just decided to keep the plastic over them, and I'm going to sit down. Can we fix the mic for me? don't ever get old. Dr. King was subpoenaed to Montgomery, so he was not, we didn't see him at all. For the first few days in Selma, with a charged feeling in the air, I didn't feel much like eating or sleeping. I slept 2 hours the first night, 1 hour the second night, and subsequent nights I slept a little longer. We were often so tired as to be a little confused. I was somewhat numb for a good part of the time, and this numbness stayed with me till after about 3 days after I got back. On Saturday, many more ministers arrived. Now, when a Unitarian minister is killed, that's a signal for all the others who can get away to go, and they did. We gathered in front of the church and marched down the street. When we were stopped by the line of police, we simply moved to the right, went around some houses, so that the police had to run around to get in front of us. They did this and stopped the column. Then we planned a different thing, and this was getting the police aspect a little bit confused, so we finally stopped that. One time there was a group that got out of where they were kind of supposed to be, and there were some guys from Sheriff Clark's posse. One of them says, well, you can just stay right here. You can't go back in. You came out, just stay right here. You can stay here all night. A group of white guys was forming, and we were terribly frightened. Just in time, a blue-helmeted state trooper happened by, and my friend Ken told him, we got separated from our group, and we would like to go back into the project and join our brethren. Sometimes Ken spoke in the King James Version. The trooper said, well, I think he looks like he ought to be inside, so we were able to go back in. Some kids actually did get through to the courthouse, and a crowd was threatening them. They would have been in serious trouble had not Chief Baker fetched them back in police cars. The next day, Ken Marshall, that was my buddy, another minister, went over to ask something of Chief Baker, and Baker knew who he was. Baker had found out all about Ken, that he was a Unitarian minister from Washington, that he was a friend of Jim Reeb's, and Baker told, the chief of police, Baker, told Ken that he appreciated what Ken did in keeping the group from going through the line on Friday, which could have been an extremely violent time. On Thursday, when Jim Reeb's death was announced, the black leaders were still tied up in court in Montgomery. And being a colleague of Jim, I was asked to offer the prayer. I'm not accustomed to praying, but it was a distinct honor to pray. At that time, I have no recollection of what I said. Those days in Selma were for me a kind of religious experience. I'm not easily moved to tears, but down there many times something would occur and I would break down and cry, not for danger to myself. A good part of it was due to a recognition of human nobility, sensing the courage of the people who lived in Selma. And then after all of us brave fellows would go back to our secure homes, these people would face the rednecks. In Selma we sang, "We shall overcome." One stanza is, "God is on our side," which this atheist minister found himself lustily singing. We shall overcome, we shall overcome. Someday, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. We are not afraid, we are not afraid, we are not afraid to and deep in our hearts, I do believe we are not afraid today. The next stanza is a little bit presumptuous, I think. God is on our side, God is on our side, God is on our side today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe God is on our side today. We shall all be free, we shall all be free, we shall all be free someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall all be free someday. Mahatma Gandhi's concept of God was not as a personal being in the traditional Christian sense. He believed that there is a power in truth and in love. This is the highest reality, and this is what Gandhi called God. I had never experienced that power before. Certainly some power was on our side in Selma that the police did not have. At times I was surprised that I did not feel fear, perhaps out of a sense of being involved in a momentous historic process. The exhilaration was not only in the singing and hearing the glorious four-part harmony, it was seeing it. When I actually watched the beautiful, beautiful young high school boys and girls singing about their own segregated schools, I was so moved I could not sing. If you miss me at the back of the bus, you can't find me nowhere, just come up to the front of the bus. I'll be riding up there. I'll be riding up there. If you miss me at Hudson High, you can't find me nowhere. Just come on over to Parker High. I'll be studying over there. I'll be studying over there. Just come on over to Parker High. I'll be studying over there. It was around this time that 260 more Unitarian ministers arrived in Selma. If I'm not mistaken, it was about a third of our active ministers in the United States. The Reverend Felix Lyon came all the way from Hawaii. Because the issue was so important, the trustees of the Unitarian Universalist Association came down from Boston and had an unprecedented board meeting in Selma. All the Unitarian bigwigs were there. An amusing aspect at Selma was that virtually every action taken by the police unwittingly helped the cause of civil rights. One example, at 2 a.m. Sunday morning, our line was thinning out. People were tiring and disappearing into the homes. We had a little fire in a barrel in the road behind our line to warm us up. And Sheriff Clark decided he was going to deprive us of this luxury. So all the fire engines in Selma arrived with blaring sirens 2 o'clock in the morning, and people came pouring out of the houses. So Sheriff Clark solved our problem of the thinning line for the rest of the night. No matter what the police would do, for example, if they had spies at our meetings, this didn't matter because it was Gandhian policy to announce our attention to the police beforehand anyhow. And if the police decided to stop the march further in, or maybe cordon us off inside the church, that would make news. One priest said, "What a headline, Catholic priests cordoned inside Baptist church." Ken Marshall said the Catholic Church was using restraint. They could have flooded the demonstration with priests and nuns, but didn't want to appear that they were taking over. But everybody appreciated the 31 nuns who showed up, mostly young with laughing faces. Some of them were great singers. Someone called the ministers the God Squad and spoke of the God Squad meeting the Goon Squad with a flying wedge of nuns. Just joking, of course. We were not violent. The shoes I wore in Selma were quite old. One shoe, I think it was my right foot, the sole, it was raining, and the one sole loosened all the way back to the heel. So when I would take a step, I had to flip my foot up for the sole to be in the right place, much to the amusement of my colleagues. Finally, with my quick and agile mind, I got a short length of coat hanger wire and I hooked it around the sole and onto my shoelaces. That's how I saved my soul in Selma. I think Bonnie threw it out. Gradually, we could sense some change of heart on the part of the authorities. In this face-to-face confrontation of kids and police officers, the kids tried to make the cops laugh. They do various funny things. Kids, I'm talking about high school kids, black and university kids. One black minister with a booming voice was in front of the lines. Between songs, he would preach, "We believe in nonviolence. That means we love our opponent. We love these policemen, don't we? Say amen." The crowd thundered, "Amen." He said, these policemen in front of us have nightsticks and they have guns in their holsters, but they wouldn't shoot these guns at us. He turned around to the police. He said, you don't want to use those guns on us, do you? Say amen. And several of the police hollered out amen before they could think. One person profoundly moved by this whole experience was Chief Baker himself. By day, he was a rigid segregationist, but the world didn't know until much later that at night, under cover of darkness, Baker would go into the black church and sit down with the leaders in the march. At one point, he told them, I don't want any more killings. And he broke down and he wept. And he said, please don't let Sheriff Clark know I'm crying. In his heart, Baker was a man of peace. He had some training as a lawyer and also as a Lutheran minister, so he could spar intelligently with the ministers. On Sunday morning, when the group wanted to have a prayer service at City Hall, Baker said, no, you're not having a demonstration on Sunday morning in Selma, Alabama. And one minister said innocently, we just want to pray. Baker looked him in the eye and said, if you want to pray, why don't you do it the way God says? Go home and pray in your closet. Chalk one up for Chief Baker. The Reverend Dana Greeley, president of the Unitarian Universalist Association, came down from Boston. He engaged in repartee with Baker. He asked by what authority Baker was prevented citizens from walking. Baker answered that his authority came from the laws of the state of Alabama. And Dana Greeley added loudly, and the Constitution of the United States. And Baker hesitated. One of his assistants whispered to him, yeah, Wilson, the Constitution too. And so Baker said, and the Constitution of the United States. The crowd took it up. They didn't know who Dana Greeley was, but they knew he came from Boston, so they sang, we love Massachusetts, we love Massachusetts, we love Massachusetts in our heart. We love Massachusetts, we love Massachusetts, we love Massachusetts in our heart. I think there was more singing than any other activity on that line. Then someone asked Baker, may the Episcopalians attend the Episcopal Church? Now, in the Southland, the Episcopal Church is about that big. And the building was small. And finally he said, those who are Episcopalian may attend the Episcopal Church. So the Episcopalians hurried through the police line, and a lot of others went through also. Farley Wheelwright went along. A multitude of other Unitarian ministers converted to Episcopalianism that day. The vestry of the Episcopal Church met these people at the door. They said any minister could come in, black or white, but the group couldn't come in as a whole, so they all stayed outside. They knelt on the steps and prayed for the people inside that their hearts would be influenced to do the right thing. A week later, Life magazine's cover showed our Unitarian colleague, the Reverend Farley Wheelwright, devoutly kneeling on the church steps as an aggrieved Episcopalian. Unitarians get into some weird things. And the miracle of Selma was loving your opponent, which was deeply ingrained in the demonstrators' hearts. We sing, "We love Governor Wallace." We sing, "We love Chief Baker." We sang, "We love Sheriff Clark." Then one morning, Sheriff Clark and Mayor Joe Smitherman of Selma issued a statement in the morning paper. It was quite long and difficult to interpret. It referred to agitators from the outside, namely SNCC and the Communist Party, all responsible for this trouble in our fine city that never had problems like this before. One intriguing sentence read, "Anyone who henceforth is disobeying the law will be arrested." Now, what did that mean? The press kept calling them and asking them what it meant. It seems they did not know how to talk to their own people. Around 5 in the afternoon, word finally came out that the message they wanted to convey was that no more hooliganism and brutality on the part of the white citizens would be tolerated. Prior to this, the police would turn their eyes away. Now they would arrest lawbreakers. One aspect of nonviolence is that even though there were thousands of marchers and only a thin line of police, at times as few as 10, we would not use numbers to intimidate. The Selma kids were unaware of the extent and totality of their victory. As long as the wall was there, the Selma Wall, the conscience of the nation was moving our way. But most of the time, all they could see was the smug look on the faces of some police who may also have not seen the larger picture. It was the courage of these young people which aroused the sleeping churches, aroused the country, and aroused the president. The march was totally nonviolent and was changing people. President Lyndon Johnson was a segregationist from Texas. He was known to refer to a Negro congressman or judge. He'd say, "Go and fetch that nigger for me." But it seems that he was deeply touched. Finally, I think it was Sunday evening, he delivered his memorable radio and television, "We shall overcome" speech. He repeated that phrase several times. "I am sending this day to the Congress and a voting rights bill, which will make it a federal crime to interfere with anyone's right to vote." Each time he said, "We shall overcome," there was a cheer from the demonstrators who had tears streaming down their cheeks. Having been Senate majority leader for a long time, Johnson was a master at getting legislation through Congress. He also knew that the Democrats would lose the solid South. They would change their vote to Republican. It didn't take him long to get the bill passed, however. There is still much to do, but the voting rights bill changed the political face of the American Southland. For example, in the next election, Baker defeated Clark in the race for county sheriff. On Monday evening, the Great March was finally launched with Martin Luther King leading, accompanied by the Greek Orthodox Patriarch of North and South America and 3,000 others. This is when Ken and I left. From the time of Selma to his death in 1968, Martin Luther King was more and more involved in the peace movement, again with a Gandhian perspective. Gandhi had said that to admit to oppression is cowardly. It would be morally better to use violence than meekly submit to oppression. Although a far more effective way was using nonviolent methods. The next Sunday, I reported the experience to a packed church in Silver Spring, Maryland. We laughed and wept together and sang in harmony as never before. If you miss me at Hudson High, you can't find me nowhere. Just come on over to Parker High. I'll be studying over there. Amen.
Fred, it is an honor and a privilege to hear your words, your story, and to have you here in this special place.
Thank you.
Thank you. We want to sing again because the hymn is, "How Can I Keep From Singing?" So let us do that. Let us rise once more and sing.
I think let's do 1 and 3. Sorry, Julia. My life flows on in endless song above its lamentation. I hear the reed, the far off hymn that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music swinging. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? When tyrants tremble as they hear the bells of freedom ringing, when friends rejoice both far and near, how can I keep from singing? To prison cell and dungeon vault, our thoughts to them are winging. When friends by shame are undefiled, how can I keep from singing?
Please remain standing as we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of love, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we're together again. And our words of benediction. Let us breathe life into these words from Fred. The span of life passes. and the time of our years is all too brief. Let us, therefore, make room in our fellowship for those who have need of our love, and let us keep on singing. Amen. We're not going to do this. Let's not do Spirit of Life today. We have a meeting to get to. Thank you, everyone. Blessed be.